Good afternoon, members of the Board of Directors. My name is Caroline Wilson, and I am the Compliance Officer here at Sacred Heart Hospital. Today, I will be talking to you about patient right to health care. We will be discussing our hospital's code of ethics as it pertains to the moral right to health care. We will also evaluate the factors contributing to the problem to include health disparities and resource allocation, and finally, we will be discussing cultural competency and other solutions to protect patient right to health care. Let's first evaluate the patient right to health care. An individual's right to health care is a notion that dates back to Aristotle, but was brought into the modern political realm by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. More recently, the Affordable Care Act, signed by President Obama and enacted in 2010, legally guaranteed the right to health care for all Americans. However, the debate as to whether health care is a right or a privilege continues. When this issue is ethically evaluated, it becomes clear that the right to health care is morally supported. The basis of health care is, indeed, helping those in need. We, as medical providers, know that action is needed to secure the health of the body and soul. Healthcare professionals, such as ourselves, do not conditionally provide health care. Quite the opposite, in fact. Historically, it has been the mission of the academic medical facilities to provide care to the socially economically disadvantaged. This notion is supported by our very own code of ethics, which states that we will pursue a socially responsible agenda by promoting accessible, affordable, and convenient primary care. Notice, if you will, that this does not exclude any one population or individual based on privilege. In fact, our entire code of ethics state what we can and will do for our patients, not what we won't do. Our code of ethics already assumes that our patients have a moral right to health care, so we should follow suit. One of the problems that arise when patients lose their right to health care is health disparities. Health disparities are when health outcomes are significantly different between populations. Health outcomes can vary widely between different races, ethnicities, ages, and socioeconomic statuses. When health care is viewed as a privilege, not a right, then it is not guaranteed to each person equally. This means that only the people who can afford health care receive it. The ethical dilemma here is clearly that the value of one's life becomes tied to the amount of money in their bank account. It is known that people of lower socioeconomic status are at a higher risk of pursuing unhealthy behaviors like tobacco use and poor nutrition. This is one example of many health disparities caused by not considering patient right to health care. Now let's look at resource allocation. Our hospital allocates resources using a needs-based approach. This has served us well in the past, but we should ask, how does this address the issue of health disparities within our community? The problem with a needs-based approach when allocating resources is how our hospital evaluates the needs may be different than how the community evaluates needs. To address this, we must include a community consideration when allocating our resources. How do the needs of the hospital align with the needs of the community? A reevaluation of our needs-based approach to allocate resources is in order. We must consider the needs of the community at large when determining the best way to allocate our resources. One way we can address health disparities within our community is through cultural competency. There are 3 principles of cultural competency in healthcare: acknowledging the importance of culture to each individual, respect for the differences in these cultures, and minimizing negative outcomes due to cultural differences. We must develop a cultural competency program to train our healthcare staff on how to recognize instances of cultural differences and reduce negative consequences. By educating our staff on health disparities as they relate to cultural incompetence, we can begin to reduce these disparities within our community. I hope you consider our moral obligation to provide people with health care and reduce the occurrences of health disparities in our community. Thank you for your day.